Well, currently it is 3:30 in the afternoon on Friday, November the 20th, 2020. And it is an unusually slow Friday, to the point where Miss Frances, that normally has this booth over here, has just packed up and left. So I am bored. I thought I would turn the camera on and do a little talking video about a subject that I've been thinking about a lot. You know what? I'm just gonna set you guys right here on the back of the easel, so it'll be a little more steady. I know I've had some complaints whenever I do the whole arm's length narration thing. The shakiness makes some people a little sick and dizzy. So here we are. So I was talking to somebody that I was drawing back at the Gateway Fair in Lake City, Florida, a few weeks ago. He looked like he was in his early 20s, and he wanted a theme drawing of him at his work. And he worked at a meat processing plant. And so he was into his job enough that he wanted a theme drawing about it. And so I got to talking to him about the job as I was doing the drawing. And he was saying that he works out there a lot of hours, and their goal is to try to process 12 cows, whole cows, from slaughter all the way out the door, 12 in a single day. And it was a really hard goal for them to try to meet. They most of the time would get 8 and 9. They had hit 10 the day before, which was a really good day, and their record was 11. But the management, the higher-ups, kept telling them that it was possible to do 12 on a regular basis, and that's what they needed to strive for. And he had this look like, you know, he really believed that was possible. And he's like, yeah, we're going to get there one day. And I said, well, you know, as soon as you start hitting 12 on a regular basis, then they're going to start asking for 15. And he just kind of, that took him back. He's like, no, I hope they don't do that. I don't think they would do that. And that got me to thinking that this guy, in his early 20s, was completely unaware of the way corporations and big businesses look at production and profits, and the way they motivate their workers, and just the kind of machine-like way that you can kind of get caught in this. Let me give you a little bit of a for instance of what I'm talking about. Let's say that you have a simple job coming in and unloading trucks into a warehouse and putting up the stock in the right areas on the shelves. So in a 6-hour span, you're expected to do 1 truck. That was the job that you were hired for. In 6 hours, you got to get this 1 truck unloaded. This is the amount of money we're going to pay you to do this. And your baby boomer parents are telling you that if you want to move up in this company, you've got to exceed expectations. You've got to work really hard. And so you put the nose to the grindstone kind of thing, and you start getting faster and faster at it until eventually you can unload 2 trucks in those 6 hours. At that point, you might go to management and say, when I was hired, I was doing 1 truck in 6 hours, now I'm doing 2 trucks in 6 hours. Can I get a little bit of a raise? And they'll give you a raise, like $1 an hour, which equates to $40 a week, which is not much. And so then one day you might come in with a headache, or you're feeling sick, you're not feeling so good, and at that point you can't manage to do the 2 trucks in 6 hours. And you start getting reprimanded. And you realize that you're doing better than the job you were expected to do when you first came in. But because you worked really hard and strove to exceed their expectations, now you're being reprimanded for doing more than what you were originally expected to do. It's a weird thing. It's what a lot of people like to call the curse of competence. Now you've raised the standard, and anybody else coming in behind you now is going to be expected to do 2 trucks in 6 hours, because you've proven that it's possible. Along the way to get to that point where you're doing twice as much, you may have started to take the quality of the work down. You've started really flooring the forklift down the aisles, making things unsafe. Raising your forks as you're going around a turn, or not getting the pallets in square, or not putting them in all the way. You've got to where you've started putting things in the wrong place just because you're going so fast. So the quality of work now has gone down, and the management doesn't really care too much about that, because all they see is now more work is getting done. Now you're frustrated. You're saying, I'm doing twice as much as I used to do for only $1 more an hour. This isn't fair. I want to apply for a different position. So instead you want to get a job in the office area where they're taking and processing orders, and that seems a little bit easier to you because it's just kind of chair work, and you think you'd be good at it. You're like, come on, give me a chance. I want to do something else. And you start hearing this, well, we need you on the warehouse floor. You're good at that. We need you out there. And so you kind of get trapped. So your goal at the beginning was to get in there, exceed expectations, do a good job, and now you have made things bad for the people coming in after you that are expected twice as much. You've brought the quality of work down. You're frustrated with your job, and you feel rightly so that unfairly paid, and now you're trapped in it. In blue-collar work, these kinds of traps are very, very common. As a matter of fact, if you've been in the workforce very long at all, if you're in your early 20s and you're watching this, you've probably been in a trap like this a few times. You're in one now, or you see yourself heading that way. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And it happens so often that a lot of you are probably starting to feel like, I'm not college educated. I'm out here in the labor force, the blue-collar labor force, and it's just stacked against me. There's no way to succeed. There's no way to climb up the ladder. I got to go to college. I got to do something. Let me just tell you, okay? And I'm 39 years old, and I've been there. I've worked fast food. I've worked retail. I've worked factory production. I've worked construction. I've been through these jobs, and I'm going to tell you something that I wish somebody had sat me down and told me when I was in my 20s. And they might have, and I just didn't listen. So listen, okay? There is a way to get out of these traps, to avoid these traps, to succeed, and to be successful in the blue-collar workforce. There's a way to do it, okay? So listen. First off, know that the workforce is very different now than it was in the baby boomer era. So a lot of the advice you're going to be getting from baby boomers is no longer applicable to today's workforce. Number one being that in the baby boomer era, you worked for one company. You were loyal to that company, and that company was loyal to you. You put in a good 40 years and you retired. It does not work that way anymore. You are no longer rewarded for loyalty. Okay? As the minute a company thinks you're redundant, or they can replace you with someone that is younger and can do your job faster, you're booted out. They're not loyal to you. You're not loyal to them. Okay, that's number one. Number two is this. A lot of times it will be impossible to climb a ladder in one company, to go from a lower position to higher in the same company. Instead, most of the time you will be moving at an angle from your job here to a higher job at another company. So whatever job you're in, don't get too attached to it. Don't think of it as a permanent thing. Don't get too comfortable in it. Always be looking for another job. And I really wish I had done this when I was in my 20s. Some people told me to, and I didn't take it serious. Always keep your resume up to date, okay? And anything that you do that is significant, write it down. Let's say you're working at a print shop, and a lady comes in that has been to 3 or 4 other print shops, and none of them can help her with this. She works for a Korean church, and she wants to print out a program or phone book, a phone directory for the church, and she can't get any other print shop to do it. And you realize the reason why is because she hasn't saved the font. She's saved it in a native file, and anytime somebody opens it up, it's just garbled because their computer doesn't have the Korean fonts. And so you instruct her on how to save the font to a thumb drive. She brings it back in. It actually works, and you're able to print the phone book for her. Something that 3 or 4 other print shops failed to do, or knew how to do, but didn't go the extra mile to actually work with her and do it. You made that happen. That's significant. Write that down. Let's say you're working for a machine shop or a plant of some kind, and there's a piece of machinery that keeps failing in the same place. And you realize that if you just go in and make this certain modification, it won't fail as often, and it'll make the machine more reliable. And the company takes a look at it, realizes you have a good idea, and makes that change company-wide. So now you've saved the company a lot of money, made things more productive. Write that down. Anything that you do, any recommendation letter, any thank you letter, any something that comes back from a client says you did a good job, save it. Put it all together, right? I can't stress this enough. Okay, so remember too that it's always easier to get a job when you have a job. If you're completely unemployed and now you're out there looking for a job, one of the first things every employer is going to wonder is, if this person is so employable, why are they not employed? So always be looking for a better job when you have a job. All right, so you've been working this job and you feel the trap coming on. You feel there's no place, there's no way to advance, but you've scouted out other jobs, and you've got other possibilities, and there's pretty sure that you got another job lined up. The more sure you are, the better. At that point, you can go in and really fiercely advocate for yourself. You can say, I've worked at this company a long time. I've done these things. I've only gotten this raise. I've gotten this much better. I think I deserve more. I want that promotion. I want that new position. You can fiercely do that because you've got this other job lined up. It gives you that boldness. And you need that because really advocating for yourself like that sometimes will result in you getting fired. And then you can go to the next position, moving at an angle upwards. Another way to advance is to, sound like common sense, take full advantage of all advancement programs. And I'm always kind of flabbergasted on how many people do not do this. And a good example would be when I was working at a factory. The only way to move up from operator or stock handler up to being a machine adjuster or factory mechanic was to pass a mechanical aptitude test. And to take it was pretty simple. You just find somebody high enough up in management and say, I want to take the mechanical aptitude test. They set up a time. It takes about an hour. They bring in this little machine that you crank and you watch how it works, leave the room, come back in. Now it does not work, so you've got to adjust it so it works again. You do that 3 times, now you're a machine adjuster. You get your tool allowance, you go get your toolbox, and the difference in pay from being operator to machine adjuster is significant, okay? For a 1-hour test. And if you fail it, you wait like 6 months and you can take it again. And I don't think they changed the things that you have to fix. So you can do it. It's not that hard. But there were people in that factory that went decades without taking the test and advancing up to machine adjuster. Why were they going so long? Because being a machine operator was comfortable. It was predictable. It was repetitious. And it was something you just kind of settle into. And so there were people that got kind of stuck and didn't take advantage of the advancement. So I'm telling you this because a lot of companies are going to have these times when they come out to the production floor and they say, we need a management, we need people to advance up to this spot. In order to do it, you're going to have to read through this pamphlet and take this test. And it might be something simple. And there's going to be people that decide not to do it because they've gotten comfortable in their lower position. But don't be that person. Take full advantage of all advancement programs. And even in that same company, they had a program where you could go out and take continuing ed classes, and if they had anything to do with something that would help the company, like I ended up taking A+ classes. I don't even know if that's still a thing, but you take the classes and then bring back some kind of certificate showing that you completed the classes, and they reimburse you for the classes that you took. And there was like thousands of dollars each year that they were willing to spend on you if you wanted to continue to take these continuing ed classes. And you get enough of these credits stacked up and you can start moving up in the company. Free money, free classes, free advancement programs, and so many people just sitting back on the laurels and not taking advantage of it. Take full advantage of all advancement programs. The worst example I ever saw of this was when I was working for the Plumber and Pipe Fitters Union. And you could make a living as a pipe fitter, but you were going to be out of work a lot. Even though pipe fitting was a very skilled labor, you had to read blueprints and then be able to do your pipe lengths, accounting for the takeout of the fittings, and be able to somehow set them into place, plumb, level, and square, and get them tacked and ready for the welders to come in and weld them out. It was not easy, but there was hundreds, thousands of guys in the union that all were pipe fitters. But when they were done and it was time to go weld it out, welders doing the welding, not so many people that were able to do that. So if you were a welder, you were hardly ever out of work. I would say that you could go years and never be between jobs if you were willing to travel. So what was the difference between being a pipe fitter and a welder? Well, to be a welder, you had to be weld certified. And you got the weld certification by going to the weld school. That was it. On your day off, you drive to the weld school. They have everything there. As long as you have your welding hood. They've got the rod ovens. They've got plenty of stick rods. They've got the machines. They've got the gas evacuation hoods to take the smoke out and blow it out the building. They've got scrap pieces of pipe for you to practice on. And like 2 Saturdays out of every month, I think it was, you could take a test. And if you failed, it was another 2 weeks and you took it again. And you could keep taking it until you passed. Once you passed, you got that certification. Now you're a certified welder. Once you get that certification, everything goes up. Your pay goes up. Your job opportunities go up. Your security is better. Everything is easier and better. And what does it take for you to go into that weld school and get that certification? If you're in the union, it's free. Free. All you got to do is drive out there on your day off and take some time to practice and try to get the weld certification. A little proactiveness. That's all it is. And this weld school did not just give you certifications on the stick welding. You could do, there was a computer welding that you could do. You could do med gas. You could do MIG, or wire feed welding, or TIG welding, or stainless welding. There was ways that you could get certified in a whole litany of different weld certifications. You could be so highly certified that you could get a job in nuclear power plants. Nuclear welders, guys, get paid so much. And to get that certification, all it took was for you to go in to a school for free and make an effort. You want to know how many people didn't do that? There was rows of stalls with flame retardant curtains, and electrodes or leads, whatever you call them, just sitting there, hanging there, not being used. Saturday after Saturday. I went in a bunch of times before I got my first certification, and I would see tons of them. There would be whole rows that were just turned off. Free advancement to get better life, better pay, better opportunities, just sitting there not being used. Take advantage of all advancement programs. At this point, once you've really paid attention to keeping your resume up to date and bolstered and keeping track of all recommendations, and even, have no shame about this, asking for recommendation letters, and keeping track of all of your accomplishments, and using that to go from one job to the next at an angle, okay, and you've taken advantage of all advancement programs. Anytime that the higher-ups drop a rope down to you, you grab a hold of it and you climb. Doesn't matter how flimsy or slippery that rope is, you do your best to climb it. Once you've done that, and you've moved from, say, a production floor up to management, or you've moved from apprentice over to built up to foreman, or you've moved from fry cook up to shift leader, you are going to be, and just expect this, okay, you are going to be kind of hated. You're gonna have people mad at you. You're going to have some enemies, and a lot of that is because the people that get comfortable with lower positions and they don't want to move out of it until management comes and begs them to move out. They feel like, I have seniority, this kind of thing. Especially if you're moving from job to job at this angle right here, that means that there's going to be times when you come into a new job and you get hired in a higher position than somebody that has been working there for a while. And they're going to resent you for it. So you're going to have resentment, you're going to have enemies. But just remember, when that happens, this comes with the territory of being successful in the blue-collar workforce. You're not going to be successful in the blue-collar workforce without having people mad at you, without some resentment. It comes with the territory. It is going to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say that if you don't have it happen, you're not doing it right. Now, the last way, and this is the one that I am the biggest proponent for, I think you should take more seriously than anything else. But that's just my opinion. Okay. Best way to maximize the amount of profit from your time of labor is to remove all the people between the person paying and the person doing the labor. What do I mean? I mean work for yourself. When I say that, it seems like the first thing that always pops into everyone's mind is just two things. Either starting your own cupcake bakery or hand-making jewelry. I don't know why that has become the go-to thing that everyone thinks of. All the options for being self-employed are so much more vast and varied than just those two things. Any job that you've worked apprenticeship for a while and worked your way up into journeyman or something like that, any one of those skills can be taken and you can start at your own shop. You can get your own equipment, get your own work truck, and get out there on the self-employed workforce and make bank. Just think about it. Any job that you're doing, and you keep having this thought hit you in the head that if we just changed this, if we just did this differently, if we just rescheduled things and changed this and made people more comfortable in this area, then we would make so much more money. And you know it's going to work. And you bring those suggestions to management and they keep shooting you down. You can take that idea, because you're the one working the job. A lot of times management has never worked the job that you're working, so you know the job better. And you can take those ideas on how to make that business better, and you can start your own business with those changes and blow your old business away. I'm going to give you one for instance. Okay, I've got a friend that his wife is in Florida, and she's just started her own waxing business. And that sounds disgusting to a lot of you. But in the blue-collar workforce, no shame, okay? Money is money. So she's working for a company that has branches all over the place. And so she's kind of a cog in a machine. And, you know, of course, in that kind of position, it's like get the people through as fast as you can, get as many clients done in a day as you can. But what she's noticing is that the rushed kind of slapdash job that you're encouraged to do is actually wasting time and money, because people would get home and they would start feeling, oh, they didn't get it all. Or excuse me, oh, they didn't get it all. They didn't really get it all. Okay, so now they got to make another appointment and come back in and go through the whole process again, this time for free, because they missed places. And she's looking at the books and looking at the time and looking at the numbers and realizing that if you just slowed down a little bit and did a thorough job just to begin with, then you would save money because you don't have people coming back. And also, people don't like coming back. That's more time that they have to waste. And so people are a little bit more unhappy about it. And also, she noticed that when you're coming in for waxing, it's a little bit embarrassing. Well, it's really embarrassing. For a lot of people, it's embarrassing. There were things that she believed that you could do to make things more comfortable, whether it's playing certain kinds of music, changing the lighting, making things warmer in certain places, maybe putting out certain scented candles, and just kind of making things more soothing and relaxing and welcoming. And those changes that she knew would make a difference. Slow down, be more thorough, make things more welcoming. She actually did a lot of those things for her clients, and they kept coming back to her. And she was making these suggestions, and they kept, no, we don't. That's not really that important. Just get as many people done as you can. So she starts her own business, gets a business loan, gets a little corner office somewhere. Now she doesn't go and call up all of her old clients, but a lot of them knew her from Facebook. And so she just kind of made a little announcement on her Facebook that she'd started her own business, and they came to her. She didn't steal the clients. They followed her. And so right now, that business that kept not listening to her suggestions is hurting terribly, because all of those good clients that she brought over to her business. That's one example. That's one example. Just think about, if you're working in a machine shop or a mechanic's garage, or you've done plumbing work for a long time, or household electrical work, you've repaired air conditioning for a long time. All of this stuff. Now, the stuff I'm talking about is not strictly blue collar, because a lot of it does require specialized apprenticeship classes and certifications. So, and some of those are college accredited. So, we're not talking just strictly blue collar. It's kind of a lot of apprenticeship schooling mixed in. But those things that you have learned, you can take those and you can start your own business. And once you do that, you become your own boss, and you set your own hours, and you don't have to answer to anyone. You don't have anybody looking over your shoulder, and the clients pay you. They don't pay the company, and the company decides how much of that payment comes back to you. They pay you. Once you get that, and you start seeing that, the difference that makes, you'll never want to go back. Now, whenever you start your own business, there's going to be 3 or 4 years there where you're going to be sacrificing. You're going to be on hot dogs, ramen noodles, and bananas. And it's going to be tough. You're going to be scared, all right? But anytime that something is really worth it like that, it's going to require risk and sacrifice. And there is a chance that the business might go under. But if you really feel like you have a good idea and you have ways to change your business and make it better, and you know it's going to be successful in the long run, I'm going to say step out there and do it. Step out there and make it happen. Before I finish with this subject of self-employment, I want to also stress the idea of the craftsman job. Right now in America, we are hurting. There's companies that need good craftsmen, and they're not having enough people that can fulfill those jobs, because for so many generations we have told everyone that you need to go to college. And so people that can do good craftsman jobs are in high demand right now. And I'm going to give you a few, for instance. Machinist. If you wanted to get a few lathes and machine working pieces of equipment and start a machinist shop in your backyard, and you're making specialized springs or specialized machine parts, and you build up a few contracts with companies that need those specialized parts on a regular basis, and you get a nice, stack of those contracts, and that's security right there in your backyard that you can go and work at any time that you want, and all the profits go straight to you. So machinist work. Also, welders. There is a high demand for welders. If you can do good aluminum welding, or stainless tungsten welding, or chrome welding, specialized welding, if you can do that, you will never be out of work in this country, and it can't be outsourced. What are they going to do? Send the metal off overseas, have them weld it and ship it back? The cost of the shipping for something as heavy as metal would be more than finding and training someone to do it right here in the States. So welding is in high demand. Also mechanics. A good mechanic that can fix a vehicle. Now, you know what? I'm gonna scratch that. There's one right now that is in incredibly high demand that nobody thinks about, and that is campers. Right now, campers are flying off of lots, and a lot of them are so built in such a rush that a lot of them are failing, and there's not a whole lot of people that can work on campers, that can fix campers, fix the water heaters or the ACs and the leaks and the little problems that come up with campers. If you really know how to fix a camper and you put that out there, say, I fix campers, watch how many people rush to your door. Please come fix our camper. We need your help. There's so much of a demand for it right now. So a good craftsman work that is in demand, if you find a company that gives you an apprenticeship in that, and they can build up your skill in it, and then you can take that skill and go somewhere and work for yourself doing that skill, bank money. I did this. I learned how to do caricature art from an apprenticeship program at Six Flags over Georgia. And I worked it for 3 summers, and then I took that skill that they taught me, and I started working for myself. And the changes that I made that I thought really needed to be made was I put more chairs out, because I noticed people, when they were waiting, they got tired of standing out in the sun. So I made room in the tent for them to come in and sit down. And also I put stand-up fans out. Those 2 changes right there have gotten me so much money. And I could make those suggestions to corporate, businesses that have caricature businesses in different theme parks. Say, we need to have more chairs for people to wait, and we need to set out fans. They're not going to listen. They never listened to any of that. They just wanted you to get as fast as you could and get as many people done as you could, and that was their goal. But I said, no, slow down. Talk to them, make sure that the caricature is good, put out a nice green AstroTurf to make things more comfortable. If their kid decides to crawl around, he's not going to get gravel in his knees. Chairs for them to sit in, and fans. And it made my business successful. And I've been working for myself for about 5 years now. Completely self-employed, full-time. Except for this year, of course, because of anyway. Also, do not underestimate the importance of trade schools or, say, community colleges to be able to bolster and give you a lot of these skills that you can take and use to go self-employed. I myself have an associate's, a 2-year college degree from a community college, graduated with no student loan debt at all because they took advantage of a lottery, the Georgia Lottery scholarship program called the Hope Pell Grant. And then when I was in the Plumber and Pipe Fitters Union, they also put me through an apprenticeship there that was college accredited. So I'm not completely dissing college. It's important to take affordable college and mix it with the skills that you learn when you're doing craftsman type jobs. If you put those two things together, it is a powerful combination. Also, I am not telling you to completely disregard the whole college thing of the white-collar job, getting a bachelor's or a doctorate's. If you really know that you are book smart and you will excel from having a college degree, then go for it. You know yourself. You know what you can do. Go for it. If it's for you, gung-ho, man. Do it. In conclusion, the blue-collar workforce is adventurous, vast, and varied. It's basically the wild. It's also a little scary, often cutthroat, and a little backstabby, but it's also very rewarding and completely devoid of the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt that comes along with a college degree. And while those college students are off learning such useful skills as the different phases of cell separation and how to find the area of weird shapes, you're already in the workforce, and by the time they graduate, you've already got the better part of a decade's worth of real-life, common-sense work experience under your belt. So take advantage of the head start. Also, remember to live below your means. Don't get caught up in status symbols. A rusty used Tundra will get you to the grocery store just as fast and easy as a brand new Lexus will. Buy and keep up to date as much insurance as you can. That's not on appliances. It's on other things. As well as all license and certifications. And that is it. Yeah. Let's go over it one more time. Remember to keep your resume completely up to date. Shamelessly ask for as much recommendations as you can and keep track of all your accomplishments. Take full advantage of all advancement programs. Remember to learn craftsman skills that people want, need, and desire. Combine them with affordable colleges from community colleges and trade schools. Do things smartly. Remember, as you go from one job to the next, getting a better position at each job, you will be resented for it. Just expect it. And the best way to maximize profits for the amount of work that you're doing is to work for yourself. That's it. You now have every bit of wisdom and experience that I have learned in my years in the blue-collar workforce. What you do with it is completely up to you. But I say, go forth and conquer. Take risk. Do it. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up like button on this video. I will talk to you down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And ring the bell icon so you'll get notifications of all my future updates. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.